but we'll see. I don't know. There's something on the back end, and it doesn't let me change it while we're live. So we're gonna send it.
Interesting.
We're gonna send it. I do apologize if we have more technical issues. Maybe I should have just gone back to the Mac, even though it works sometimes. But it is what it is. You only hear Nate. That's a lie.
Well, we haven't said anything. Can they?
Yeah, I know.
We've been pretty quiet.
I know. Well, that.
Hello.
Oh, okay. So,
Yes.
well,
Yes.
I had you guys on. We will be right back screen. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, yeah. So,
Okay, it's back to normal.
yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, I apologize. All right. With that said, let's just get into the cars because I wanted to actually get into your car because it is quite different. I don't
Dumb.
know. Yeah, I mean that's a word to put it too.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. It is. It's not a like smart swap, but it's what I like. So.
Right. Yeah. So, quick for people that don't know, what are you rocking with for your personal drift car?
So the main drift car is the 350Z, but it's RB25 swapped. Originally VQ, I drove on it like that for I think 3 or 4 years, something like that. Perfectly running car, like bulletproof VQ. It was an amazing car. But then I took it down, wanted more power, the typical thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a buddy that had an RB25 in his S13. For anyone that does watch the podcast, you probably know Wesley Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
So I got the motor from him, and we really good deal. And we threw it in the Z. Very, hack job type swap and made it work. But like, it was cool. It just never ran right. So we're really digging into it now. Especially this off season, we're gonna try and I got to get it up to my buddy's shop and we're gonna make some proper motor mounts and trans mounts and stuff like that. So other people can also benefit from it as well. I've had so many people reach out to me about the swap and like how they want to do it. So I want to make it an option for people.
Right.
But
And like actually make it look really nice, presentable, and all that kind of jazz. Right. It's like you said, it was your first time doing it, and so now it's time to actually make it look like a professional did, right?
yeah, yeah, I'd love to. I really want to paint the engine bay and do all that stuff. And the shop that I'm going to be taking it to,
Mm-hmm.
they do powder coating and stuff like that as well because they
Right.
make Mustang parts. It's Synergy Race Development for
Oh
anyone
yeah, yeah.
that may know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so we'll try and make the motor look pretty and stuff too. I think I had picked up another RB that runs and stuff like that, so
Right.
that'll be going in the car. I don't know if we'll do like making that motor pretty, but the other RB that's coming out, we'll rebuild that one and we'll make sure to like possibly do like 26 valve covers
Yeah.
and timing covers, stuff like that. Powder coat those. Make all the lines and fittings and everything actually appealing to see.
Exactly. Well, I mean, with your car, it's such an interesting swap, obviously, because it's not done a whole lot, but it really gave it a unique sound. Like obviously, it sounds like an inline six, right? And people would just assume, oh, it's a JZ, right? But it didn't sound like a JZ, and that was the cool part. And I mean, you guys had some fun with that engine.
Oh no, it's great, and it's even though it doesn't like it pisses you off the entire time of the track because it never ran right. It was cool, like you mentioned. People come up to you and they're like, "I can tell it's not a VQ, but I also can't tell what it is." Nobody ever guesses that it would be an RB just because nobody ever sees an RB in a 350Z. But most people know it's not a JZ, so that's
Right.
at least good.
I mean,
Nothing against them. I love JZs. I'm just saying.
right. Well, I guess the question is obviously it's pretty stock, right, in terms of power and all that kind of stuff. Or what was the power was it making originally?
I don't know number specific.
Gotcha.
If I could guess, like what I know, it's probably 350 to 375.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think when we threw the external gate on it finally,
Mm-hmm.
and I took it out without like really doing any adjustments. I was trying to go get a data log, and that's when it blew.
Right. Gotcha.
So I think it felt way better then with the external gate on. So I'm sure it was probably making a little bit more boost than it was supposed to.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean,
some
that's what happens.
previous boost creep issues too.
Well, it is an RB, so I mean, it does have a reputation to uphold. So there is there is that part. But yeah, I mean, Curtis, do you have RB experience? I'm trying to remember. I feel like you.
I've tinkered with them here and there, but
Yeah.
I've avoided them wildly for a long time because I'm not a fan. I did back.
Why?
I hate RBs because they're just.
But why?
Because they're not reliable. I've seen a million.
But what makes them not reliable?
Nissan.
Bullshit.
I mean, look. At the end of the day,
PQ is the best V6 on the planet.
That
Changed my mind.
That's a bold statement, but
Dude. No, it's probably not the best V6.
you might not be wrong.
But you know, for drifting reliability, dude, that's a great motor. So like, Nissan's not the problem.
I mean,
Toyota makes some shit motors too.
Who?
Toyota makes shit motors too.
No,
Chevy makes shit motors.
We're talking about RBs versus like if you're gonna put them in comparison with something, you have to put them up against the JZ, and we all know that I was JZ guy for forever.
Right.
But why do they work better in Australia than the JZ?
Where do they
They're probably not better, but like they work just as good as the JZ.
I'll never argue that pound for pound the Nissan RBs flow better, will make more power, but the JZ will take more of a beating over time every time, especially in drifting.
I can agree with that.
I'll never argue that the engineering and the cylinder heads on the RBs are better than everything else, but they have oiling issues from the factory. That's why you see the oil pump modifications and all that.
Yeah.
Like they're just, I don't care for them, and I don't want to learn. It's not even learn to work on them. I just don't want to work on them.
Right.
They're so easy though.
I mean, they're not difficult.
They're dumb easy, and most people like get intimidated about them. And like, it's not to say every single motor is gonna have their little quirks too, just like the oiling problems. I mean, you'll find that anywhere. So it just kind of boils down to what issues you're willing to deal with.
I mean, I get it because I was an SR20 guy as well. Like my Toyota Cressida had an SR20 for forever. So, but if somebody was like, "Hey, SR20 or RB," I'm gonna go SR20 every time just because I think it's a better motor and it stays together. It stays together without all the issues that come with the RB. At least in my experience. In my experience.
That might be an even bolder statement, just to be honest.
That's fine. I've been saying it for a long time. I used to let my SR live on limiter, and I never broke rockers or had any of those issues. It's on how you set those things up.
Yeah.
That's epic. Dude, I've been highly interested in SRs and S chassis recently. There was for one, I drive them relentlessly in the sim. I drive the in-style cars all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But my buddy Jay, speaking of him earlier, he sent me a Facebook ad of one of his friends that had an S14 with I think it was a freshly built SR with, I don't know if it was big turbo or whatever, but it was built by RS Entropy, so it's good motor.
Yeah.
They build always good SRs. So, but he wanted like $5,000 for it. It just had never been started. Like it was a fresh motor. He dropped it in and just never finished it and moved to. Actually, I think he moved here to Tennessee.
I mean, that sounds about right for the price of SR.
That's not a bad.
But if it's a running SR, it was in the car, like the whole car with the motor.
That's not a bad price, honestly.
For
nowadays,
about $5,000. I was like, dude, that's tempting.
Yeah, you should have bought that for sure. That's a crazy good deal nowadays because SR stuff's through the roof nowadays.
Yeah, like if you
might still be on there. I don't know.
If you want a complete engine for an SR, like what's it gonna cost you nowadays? You think?
Ooh.
I mean, for what, like a stock one?
Yeah.
I mean, if you get
might be around $6,000, I would say.
For that
runs.
I think that's the normal like importer price nowadays. Is like 5 to 6 or something like that, isn't it? Like it's pretty up there.
I remember last time I checked, it was a little bit more than your average like Series 2 RB. You start getting into Neos on RBs, then they're like $12,000. It's absurd. But just a simple stock SR that runs, I would guess around 6 or 7.
Yeah. Things aren't cheap.
It's too much.
I mean, the thing is, nothing's really cheap at this point. I mean, people say LSs that you can get one at the junkyard for like super cheap. That's even hard to do nowadays. I feel like.
No, I mean those are still out there for sure. They still exist, but everybody always like forgets all
they know
the
what
stuff
they are
you
now.
have to do to that junkyard motor, right? Like
Right.
you're gonna end up putting head gaskets in it, and you're gonna end up
Yep.
putting a cam in it. You're gonna end up doing valve train to it. And before you know it, you're spending. It's all roundabout the same cost.
100%. Yeah.
What I hate seeing is a diehard grassroots driver throw an LS in their car, and it just kind of especially if it's an S chassis, it almost ruins the entire driving experience for the car. Because you're never, because you don't get that good weight balance out of it, because the motor's so much
you could say the same thing about an RB or a JZ.
Do what?
You could say the same thing about an RB or JZ though. They're not light either.
Well, RB's like 80 pounds heavier than a VQ. It's not far off. It just hangs a little further over the front rack.
Right.
Which is why I'm revising the whole swap. So, but I mean, an iron block LS is god awfully heavy, and anyone in grassroots is going to put an iron block probably.
That's not always true. There's cheap aluminum motors out there if you know what you're doing and you search them out.
Well, yeah, of course.
But even then, like the weight difference isn't that bad, and then you can manipulate them out further back. I mean, I've driven a lot of different S chassis with a lot of different engines, and like I would argue that the LS S chassis feels like if you do like basic setup for basic setup, the LS feels better than the JZ as far as like weight balance and like nose diving and all that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't agree with that at all. But that's when it boils down to just driver preference too. So it's like, do you like a floaty feeling whenever you're drifting, or do you like it to be really snappy and, you know, less grip up front versus more grip, or so on and so forth. So I think if you are that more grip up front type person, you are going to favor the LS type. But if you like the floaty feel, or not floaty feel, but like the snappiness and less grip up front, you're going to want the better weight balance in that, I would think. And if you're just always going to stay grassroots, I would rather, you know, a more grassroots feeling car than a big hunky V8 up front. I would rather deal with that in a competition setting.
I think he's just anti V8. That's what it is.
I mean, that's absolutely it. But
the guys are doing those V8s solely for what I kind of mentioned when we were talking earlier about like a seat time car, right? Like a lot of those guys are just going LS because they just want to drive without all of the crap that comes along with the turbo pump.
Yeah, you know, and you know, there's parts availability and everything when it comes to that stuff. I mean, that's why I really like doing the EcoBoost stuff with what I have in my cars, because I can fix anything on that car for like nothing. Like the engine's worth nothing. Like I can get any part I want on the engine for really cheap. Like it's a really nice thing to have just as a preference, where like I don't really care if it. I mean, it's gonna suck if I blow it up because then you got to do all the work to replace it. But like, it's also not gonna break the bank either. Yeah. And
I've been very interested in the EcoBoost motors too. I would honestly, if
they're interesting,
depending on how the FC works out, I would be interested in putting one in there to see how it feels in that chassis.
That would be a good
chassis. I wish they
sounded
better.
Yeah, because like
yeah.
Because, by the way,
there's no argument for that one. I get it.
If all the grassroots guys would put mufflers on their straight pipe LS cars, you would hate them less. I'd bet money on it.
Oh yeah. Same thing with VQs. That's why I have a stock exhaust. It sucked.
They're hard to find.
Yeah.
Very, and especially not for like the Z's and G's. The Y pipe, dude. Good luck.
Yep.
They're all ripped to shreds because everyone slams the shit out of a Z. It's awful.
Jeez. And you can't buy factory stuff, or is that just really expensive?
It's really expensive.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, now that we've established our preferences as V8 hater and V8 lover, why don't we actually go into the 2026 season, because there's a bunch of, I guess, topics that I kind of wanted to lay out and get you guys' opinion on some of that stuff. I mean, we do talk a lot of FD stuff on this podcast, and that's why I always like in chat. I also want to get you guys involved as well. So if you guys want to answer these questions in chat, I'd love to read some answers as well. See how that kind of goes with that stuff. But my first big storyline for the FD season this year is going to be the change in venues, with it obviously switching over to a very oval track heavy, I guess, layouts for the year. And my question is, do you think this hurts or helps the competition of the field? That's the first question. And then if you think it hurts or help anyone specifically, that would be another interesting insight. But in general, do you think this hurts or helps competition?
I don't think it hurts the competition. If anything, it probably helped just being more generic layouts. They're almost going to be repeating the same thing more. There's actually I think it was a DM or a commenter I saw that someone mentioned loving to see more, almost like a wide mountain road type event from FD, which would be nearly impossible, like a logistic fucking nightmare. But I would love to see more interesting things come out of FD layouts. I would like the fact that we lost New Jersey was like the most heartbreaking part of it.
Right.
I think because we lost our Poland, we lost our stadium event, which given it wasn't like the finale or anything, but you know it had the stadium feel.
Right.
So I don't think it'll hurt at all. I think it would just benefit the drivers a little more.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest thing for me, and it from what it looks like on the overview of some of these tracks, they are not the nicest venues from what it looks like, which is also kind of a bummer.
Sadly, yeah.
But I mean, from FD's, just from the outside looking in, it almost looks like FD kind of got caught with their pants down on some of this stuff, and just found some last minute venues. I mean, that's just what it looks like from the outside looking in.
Well, like you also got to think of it too. The contracts came to a close on certain tracks, and we're also living in a world of not majority, I won't say that, but a lot of tracks are just closing down. There's not much money being made in racing currently, in like all motorsports for the most part. I mean, that's why tracks are closing. So, and a lot of tracks are reverting to doing event stuff and, you know, stuff outside of racing just to even stay alive. So maybe they last minute did some of that. Maybe this is kind of their fluff year to just make it to the next year, and they have some things lined up next time. I hope there's no long-term contracts and stuff signed for these, the newer ones. I don't know. I think Vegas will be very interesting, just because it's a very, you know,
it's a fun
nightlife.
city.
It's a pretty backdrop, I'm sure.
It's actually not
like
the actual
Utah.
Las Vegas Motor Speedway or complex. It's very brown.
Very brown, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I have no idea.
There's not a whole lot out there. It's actually I think it's like 30
there's not
minutes
a whole
outside
lot in Utah where that track is too, right?
No, but the thing with Utah was the track was nice. The track looked nice.
Okay, that's fair.
It had a good
It's
aesthetic.
surrounded by mountains too.
Yeah, it was a very cool aesthetic.
Crazy backdrop in Utah.
Yeah, and so that's the unfortunate thing about, for me, Utah is a road course, so it's different. You know, it benefits different drivers. And here's my thing. So I have two trains of thoughts when I kind of thought of this question. And one, I think it's going to benefit, obviously, oval track drivers, the guys that do well at oval tracks. It seems like the Mustangs seem to do pretty good at the oval track stuff in a lot of those events. So it wouldn't be surprised if we see some good runs out of those guys at those events. And the other side of the coin, though, is it's also going to even the playing field, in my opinion, because they're new tracks that no one has any practice at, apart from maybe the Vegas one. And I think that is a really important aspect for this year, because it could theoretically even the field a little bit when it comes to, you know, not everyone's got the data for what they need for that track. You know, it was kind of like Long Beach 2, where there was a lot of maybes, but no one really knew what the actual track was going to be like until they got there and drove it. And I thought it kind of created some really fun battles and stuff. The reason I also liked Long Beach 2 is because it was a very technical course with lots of transitions. They might have not been the most flowy flowy of a track per se, and definitely looked like
Yeah.
there is some definite choke points and stuff. But in terms of like being something different, that's what I kind of liked about that track, and that's going to be the challenge with these ovals is how can you make this different? How and for example, like Seattle, I feel like they did a great job making Seattle and Orlando different because just of how the
Yeah.
layouts are. I think Orlando is one of the. I mean, it's okay. I want to say Orlando is the most boring layout in FD, but it also has some of the best chase runs in FD. So it is you pick your poison with that. And then Seattle, I think, is one of the hardest tracks in FD, and probably has the worst tandems outside of maybe Utah, but we aren't going back to Utah.
Yeah.
But again, they're drastically different tracks when it comes to how you're looking to set up the car and whatnot. At least from what I've seen. And I mean,
Yeah.
Kurtis, you know, like setting up a car for Seattle is like a nightmare.
Yeah, I mean, Seattle is definitely in my opinion, one of the harder tracks. Like,
Yeah.
it's just that crazy long bank is really hard to combat, and then choking it down and also keeping your car to where it's kind of floaty on that really long bank, but also gripped up in that infield can be somewhat of a challenge.
Well, so
But-
let's talk about that. What alignment setups are you doing to compensate for that type of track?
For Seattle, for us
Yeah.
personally, I'm not going to get deep into it, but us personally, we pull almost.
Well,
all
yeah, like you just give the
of
rough line of
forward
it.
bite out of the car. You just make that car float, because that's the hardest part of that track is keeping it up on the wall in the bank, right? And so I made the mistake 2 years ago of putting a little bit too much forward bite, side bite, all that into Andy's car, and he just couldn't keep it up there to save his life in Seattle. And so going into it this year, we just pulled it. I all but just zeroed everything in the rear and just put like what I would put on my average grassroots throw it around car, just for Seattle.
Wow. That's
Make it
crazy,
Easy to
actually.
drive as possible.
That explains a lot why people wash out whenever they come into the middle, though.
I mean, everybody does their
Oh,
own thing. Like,
okay.
I can't speak for any other team. I had to, we had to do what we had to do for our driver and what we thought he would want. And it worked out
Yeah.
pretty good for us overall. It wasn't the best event we've ever had, but at least he felt comfortable the whole time.
100%.
Versus 2 years ago, he did not feel comfortable.
Yeah.
That was my fault. I'll take a little bit of ownership on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting because they were able to differentiate. Because I assume your setup for Orlando is much different than Seattle.
Yeah,
Can't
it's
be
different
that
from
far
Seattle
off.
for sure. No, it's pretty because so Orlando is I think a steeper bank, but it's a much shorter bank. And so you're on the bank for X amount of time, but then you're coming into that infield, and you need all of that grip on the infield of Orlando. So if you try and make your car a little bit too loose and a little bit too floaty in Orlando, you might be fine on the bank, but you're going to suffer on that infield like apron.
Gotcha.
Oh, interesting. So are you just adding more toe, or are you messing with anti-squat for any of that?
We don't do a lot of anti-squat stuff on Andy's car right now because we need slightly longer shock bodies. But we're messing with like camber, toe, all that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. So just basic stuff, right?
Damping, everything that you can mess with, we're tinkering with. It all varies track to track. It's all written in a notebook in Andy's toolbox. If you guys want to steal what he has, just go by there and steal my orange notebook. Enjoy my terrible handwriting.
Yeah, if you can read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can read it, if you can decipher it, you can use it.
Yeah. Jason said, I think drivers who have home tracks / pro-am comps where they are used to the ovals, like Florida, PNW, Params, and Hot Pit, for those drivers it will be great. For fans, it will be more boring and repetitive. Yeah. I mean, I would argue Orlando has some of the best battles in the series. So I don't know if it's boring.
Yeah, but what is your definition of best battles? Is it like what's interesting to watch, or what by the book is the best battle?
For me, it's just if there's no room in between the cars the whole run, that's cool for me. I love to see the proximity guys tapping doors and all that kind of stuff.
But if that's over and over again in the same boring layout, how long does that last?
I mean, I'm okay with it. Because the fun part, because when you start getting to a competition where it's pins and needles of like you're trying to find like a difference between these two runs, and guys just end up going like 1 more times. Like that's kind of my favorite stuff is watching a guy like Dean and Shanahan just do perfect run after perfect run against each other, and keep
but that's like
battling out,
most likely going to happen towards the end when everyone's hyped up and.
Yeah,
But
but
that's
Like
every-
how the
All
argument is like how do you get the attention the entire time? Like how do you keep
Right.
people watching?
yeah, and I think
I don't
Orlando
think a boring
is
layout with the same exact runs almost every time over and over
Yeah.
again.
well. I
It
think
sucks, but like the people want chaos, which is
Right.
kind of
oh god, there's plenty
counterintuitive.
of chaos in Orlando on that transition. People hit each other all the time, and like for me
yeah, but like
that
you
and
got
like
two
I get it.
turns
It's
to make
not
that happen.
the hard part of Orlando is it has that ugly green wall, and it's not the prettiest track in the world, but
Ain't wrong there.
no, but
I mean, you don't really see it on it.
Whoever, dude, if anyone out there, if you haven't been to OSW, like the actual facility, it's rough.
it's a dump.
Like all,
Yeah, I
like,
know.
yeah. The storm, like, don't get me started on the rain and storms, and that was a nightmare
Oh yeah,
this year.
but I mean that's just kind of the what we're probably going to be looking at for the rest of the tracks in terms of facility quality, at least from what I've heard.
Yeah, but like, what do you think they're going to do layout wise? Because like, even when we've had a bunch of, it's not the first time we've had a bunch of circle tracks within a season, right?
Okay, yeah.
To my knowledge, they've at least, while it's been a circle track every time, they've almost never crossed over to where it's like the same layout at a different circle track. Like Orlando is a figure eight, Seattle is a big bank with the stuff on the infield, Irwindale was big bank to inner bank, and a bunch of other variations over the years.
Yeah, well, the thing with Irwindale,
It's all ovals, but it's different.
right? The thing with Irwindale,
Well-
I think, was this. It was technically, I mean, yeah, they all had their own different layouts. Irwindale was just so big and like grand, it kind of makes Orlando look tiny. You know, it's
No, of course.
even though that's probably the most similar track to it, it's still completely different just because of the size. But again, we'll see what it comes with these tracks. But I mean, whether or not it's going to be better or not, the real question I was trying to get at was like, what do you think from like a competitive side, Kurtis? Like,
I don't think you'll see any difference on the competitive side.
yeah,
Like most of the drivers, at least in pro and even in pro spec, only need a handful of laps to really get a feel for the layout. And then with sims and all the off-season practice that guys are doing, or before event practice that you see people doing,
yeah,
I don't think the new tracks are going to do like a crazy balancing or anything like that. I think it's going to be the same stiff competition the whole way through. You might see a little bit in practice, but other than that, I don't think it's going to change much.
gotcha. I mean, in my opinion, I think practice is going to change a bunch because you guys are doing qualifying now, and that's one of the things we'll get into.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think practice is going to be vastly different now.
Well, you bring back the ability to like play down or play up your game
True.
as well
True.
while you're practicing, and the same thing goes for, since we're all due qualifying. I mean, that's going to change the way the actual battles end up happening and what drivers are going to be able to expect based off of the run they just did in qualifying, and everything goes back to practice.
Well, here's the thing. So it'll be kind of like what I experienced at Drift Masters, where practice the first day was a lot of gapped runs, a lot of like guys running solo laps. There was very few guys that were like putting on serious tandems like during practice, and I don't think it'll be as drastic in like in like FD, because even when we had qualifying, there was still some pretty sweet practice runs and stuff. But for the large part, it's going to be like practice the last couple of years has been insane because it had to be. Like you had to be doing tandems. Like that's because
everything was
practicing
tandem.
tandems because that's what you guys would get into immediately. And like
But I think he's still going to keep it forced tandem in practice. So you might see some guys leaving a gap.
Right.
You're still going to see tandem in practice.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not going to be as intense as it was because there's no reason to push it the first day, Now the second day when we get to tandem practice, yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy, but that will be a change. But I'm just kind of curious overall. Qualifying, is it a good thing, bad thing, or kind of indifferent for you guys?
Good thing. Bring it back.
We're gonna agree on that. Like I've always loved qualifying.
I think they made the right decision. Whether or not on the pro spec side of things, like I think most people couldn't care less, just to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I don't think anyone's gonna hear any pro spec drivers crying about it. I'll be honest. Like, it's just
if you are a pro spec driver, I don't think you should be crying about it.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just
I think a lot of them would rather have qualifying back too, to be honest.
Yeah,
they would, but like you're also in that position of like you're trying to earn your spot right now as well. So
yeah, and I think from
do what the series says.
Yeah, and from a actual viewing standpoint, it would. I've seen this said a couple times. It would be so hard to watch qualifying in pro spec.
Absolutely.
Overall, like it's just because. I mean, listen, there's a reason they're in
this
pro
is
spec,
the only way it would be consumable is
Yeah.
if you had Greg in the box to make fun of every single one that fucks up.
Everyone that goes
Only
in
way.
the
Anyway,
That's true.
I would watch every single one. That would be the most hilarious thing FD could do.
Dude. I mean,
100%.
because, and that's the problem is that they'll never do that because drivers will complain. I know I've talked to Jacob about that. And he's been negative on runs before, and he's had complaints about, hey, like every time I drive, you just shit on me, and it's like,
Drive better.
For real. But like the guy was like, yeah, and I can't send my sponsors any of these runs or anything, and it's like, okay, I get it, but also drive better. But and so FD's never gonna just openly like shit on people, which is kind of could be an opportunity though.
Dude, I think they should. I think they should open up to it. I don't know.
I mean, I think there's a fine line between like talking shit on somebody and just kind of like calling what happened in an amusing way, right? Like,
That's
right.
true.
Yeah, I'm not saying to talk.
If you blew it,
I mean, you don't want to make anyone look bad, but if you're already making yourself look bad, like that's not my fault.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me, it's I always love like as a lot of people know in this chat, you watch Herbie's live streams, dude is absolutely roasting people the whole time. And it's some of the best commentary of FD. So it's like, I mean, I would love it, and it might be an opportunity for someone else to come in just outside of FD and do some fun stuff. We'll see. Could be opportunity where you just get the uncensored stream.
Yeah.
Just
Make it on just start the membership thing on FD's channel.
There you go.
You just do it that way. I don't know. I'd pay to watch that. It'd be hilarious.
It'd be so good. Yeah, but no, I'm the fan, and Jacob said this also, and I agree with him. I liked it when they did one run of qualifying and then the last 8 fight it out for the final spots or whatever.
Knockout qualifying.
Yeah. I like that the best, but again, we'll go through it. We'll do the single run qualifying. I like battles. I was a big proponent of the seeding initially, but then when they messed up how they gave out points, I was like, this is dumb, and
yeah,
I just didn't like how that went. But
I think it could have worked if they did it correctly from the beginning. But I think it just got so mixed up from the beginning and put a lot of bad taste in people's mouth about it.
I think it's just been randomized.
Yeah, well, you want to know my number one reason why this doesn't work, and my number one reason why I think qualifying is probably still going to be pretty lame, is because we don't have enough drivers. There's no consequence. There's what?
I mean, there's more drivers this year, though, isn't there? Isn't there like 30?
There's.
Listen,
40,
they announced a lot of drivers.
Well, I
know some of them are not going to be going this season.
I know.
Yeah,
the number that I know is not driving keeps growing every day. So, I will be shocked if we have more than 35 drivers.
Yeah, but I mean, with qualifying back though, if you zero qualifying, even if there's, let's say, 31 drivers, if you zero, you're still out.
Okay,
if
cool.
you blow qualifying, you're still not in. Versus seeding, you could blow
and then we get bye runs, and that's fun too, right?
I mean, Byron
Yeah,
is one of the
yeah,
most undefeated drivers in FD history.
I
So
know. Well, you get what I'm saying though. Like, if you want to make qualifying fun, you need 50 drivers, in my opinion.
I don't
You
know about
need to
50.
have
You need consequence for sure.
you need
Debatable.
consequence, and that's what makes Drift Masters qualifying, and that's why I think people want qualifying back so much from a fan's perspective, is because of how fun Drift Masters
I
qualifying is.
love
But that's because they have 50 drivers, and there's serious challenges to actually qualify for the event.
I don't agree with that though, because qualifying always gave us a chance. Like, take out the consequence side for the driver, right?
Yeah.
When we had true 2-run qualifying for sure, we got to see some of the coolest runs, albeit solo runs. But you got to see like driver individuality.
Yeah.
You got to see khakis and all the other crazy stuff they were trying to pull off in chase of that big score. And that's what I always liked about it, was seeing how each driver interprets the course solo versus what they have to do to like click a rule book in tandem.
Yeah, 100%. And Tony Hawk Warrior says more buy runs for James Dean. And I would argue last year was all free runs for James Dean because he didn't have to do anything the first day. He was automatically like #1 qualifier because he won the previous event. Didn't have to do anything the first day. He was automatically in. So it's like, for me, that's much more of a advantage for James Dean than even having a buy run for the top qualifier, you know?
I think that's where they got it wrong. They should have just randomized it every time. Instead of basing it off the previous round or on all of that stuff, just throw everything randomized and let it ride.
Yeah.
Then you don't see the
I
same.
think
battle
randomized would be
over and over again.
too odd. I don't think the people would like that over a long period. I think if it was like a dude, even if it was something dumb like just draw out of a hat.
Well, you couldn't do a seating
That's the
bracket
same
if you
thing
did
as
randomized.
randomized.
If you
Drawing
did
out of a hat
randomized and just did a straight,
Yeah,
like,
but then you brought
bracket?
like you could make videos of that, and it's a little much more interesting than just like, here, let me click a button on the internet and let them randomize
Yeah.
it for us. You know, you can see, oh, this person gets #2. This person gets #2, and then there's like a whole face-off thing in a sense, and
That'd
like
be
you
fun.
actually get some more sports, like behind the scenes, if
Yeah.
that makes any sense.
And if
They
you
could've
fully
done that.
randomized, then you would just do a full bracket at that point. You just do however
Yeah,
many
yeah.
cars are
Yeah,
there.
just
and
get rid of, you have 30. If you only have 32 drivers, just get rid of seating, and then poof, you just have a randomized 32 bracket every time. Like one of my biggest issues with seating outside of our own issue, like as a team, our own issues with it, was you did see a lot of repeat battles in the 32 in seating and all that kind of stuff, and it just got kind of boring because you'd watch and be like, okay, well the bigger name's going to win again, and then that guy's going to be out, and it was just there was just nothing to like not know. You'd be like, oh, it's the same thing that happened last day.
Yeah, no, I get that 100%. And I mean, you could argue like, oh, you're creating rivalries. I mean, like, let's be honest, in the sport, there's not much of. I wouldn't argue with rivalries. There's not too much out there. There's no JTP Vaughn hatred anymore. I feel
But
like.
why not? Why not?
Like, I think there should be rivalries. Like, there should be.
Yeah, that's not, like why isn't there?
Other drivers and all that.
You go to
Like,
Japan and you see drivers in like crazy, liveries on their car, or crazy costumes and shit. Like they really put on a character and they make a persona out of themselves as a driver. Like there's a unique factor to that comes to sports that, like, why wouldn't you? You would want rivalries, 100%.
Oh, I'm not saying that you wouldn't want it. I'm just saying there isn't because everyone's. I mean, there's a lot to. I'll use this as an example. I'll use a Stuckey, for example. I know he is one of the most anti, like mean, angry. He's like the most chill guy I've ever met. But when that whole incident with him and Denofa happened, which he didn't even do, by the way, that was his team that protested the call or whatever. He still lives with that, like in like the social media side. Even like last year, he was talking to me about it, and it's like that is what people are kind of afraid of, is like if you get involved in stuff like that, and that's not the brand that you're trying to pursue, it still kind of follows you, which I get.
Yeah, and I've talked to Stuckey about that and stuff too. And like personally, yeah, there's plenty that you could say to that, right? So you could tell, just get over it, whatever. But like every single time he posts something, dude, like someone says it. every time someone sees his face on the internet, someone says it.
Right.
And it really gets annoying. But like, it's the internet as well, so you kind of
Right.
have to expect it too, right? Like it's the
Yeah.
whole bully theory. If you continue to entertain
Right.
the bully and be upset at him picking on you,
Right.
then he's gonna continue to bully you, right?
That's why you get a guy like Matt Field who kind of just embraces it. You know, he's
Yeah.
like the guy that's gonna push you off the track because he's gonna go that hard. You know, so like there's definitely some of that where the guys have kind of embraced it, but like it's definitely needs to be more. But it's hard, you know. Like there's not like you talk about gosh, oh my gosh, who's the prospect guy that?
Well, no. So
blew
here's
up
the
this
thing.
year?
Like, do you want to change FD to make it easier to get into, or do you want it to be the next best motorsport? Like, you have to end up either breaking the barrier of we got to hold it to a higher standard on all levels. So, like, if you're getting into FD, like, be able to handle the flack, or
Yeah.
do we just want to make it easier? So, you know, we don't create rivalries, or maybe that cut doesn't make it on the live stream and nobody ever really talks about it other than someone posts a clip of it.
Yeah, no,
Then it's not as big of a stereotype, and you know, it wouldn't have had the leverage that it did being on the FD live stream.
Yeah, no,
So,
it's more of
I
a
don't know.
conversation of whether or not drivers are gonna pick a persona. Like obviously, Andy Haley is a great example of this. Drift Wizard, like dude, has
I love it.
gone full ham on that, and it's like that's what you needed. Like he literally funded one of his seasons off of it. It's like
Selling cone hats, dude, that's insane.
yeah, but it's like,
Like,
that.
People love it though.
But that's what you kind of need to do. But let's be honest, how many of those drivers are not a person? Like they're just they're very what's inside the box is how I describe a lot of them. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
you know.
because they all do the same thing: first name, last name, racing, and like
Mhm.
that's their brand. They don't do anything to really stand out outside of that.
Yeah. So it's just it's a challenge, and it'll be cool once you see some more personalities kind of grow. Because obviously, I will say FT went through an era where you had like your Christoph Bloofs, your Dave, your Kearneys, your JTPs, like
Those are some of the best times to watch too. Like
Dude.
you'd see like those just wild like outbursts from those guys, and you'd be like, hell yeah, and everybody be clicking in to watch it.
100%.
Oh, we lost Dawson.
Yeah, he'll come back eventually, hopefully. But yeah, no, I think qualifying overall is going to be a good thing, but it'll be interesting to see if people get kind of tired of it after a year or two.
There's
'cause
no way. I don't think they'll get tired of it.
Right.
But that's just-
The next thing I wanted to kind of hit, and we'll see if Dawson gets back in here soon, but my other question was, do you think this helps or hurts any drivers specifically? Because it's like, for me, I think it helps a lot of the drivers, especially the European ones that do a lot of the qualifying over there still, because I feel like a lot of pro-ams have kind of turned into like what he was talking about, picking a number out of a hat and just running a 32, you know? Like I don't like a lot
they
of
all do some form of seeding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think it's going to benefit the European guys probably more than the American ones, but I'm just curious what you're thinking.
I think it'll benefit any of the guys that have been in long enough to remember or been a part of qualifying in the past, because there are some, like, if you haven't done it, there's some nerves that come along with it. You got to be a little bit more reserved in practice because you got to worry about running qualifying to make the field, so you don't want to tear the car up.
Right.
I think some of the guys. I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's going to be in pro this year that's going to be worried about having to qualify. I might be wrong. I had to go back and look at that.
Well, with the numbers, I don't think most people would be worried either. But
what I mean is, like, I don't think it's going to hurt any of them, because like the guys in pro-am that are used to never qualifying are all going into prospect where they still don't have qualifying, at least for this season.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, and here's what I will say, I think it's going to hurt guys that don't drive outside of FD. Because in my opinion, you need to be consistent, and one of the best ways to be consistent is to be always driving, or at least driving a lot, and just not losing any of that motion that you're so used to doing. But that could be the other thing. That was kind of my other idea was probably it's going to benefit guys that drive a lot more. But again, we'll see. And then
I think there's a mental game that plays into it, though. Like if you used to do qualifying, you always qualified well. It's going to benefit you now that it's coming back.
Right. Yeah. The next topic I had to kind of check out was, is this James Dean's championship to lose? You think for the year?
Man, I don't know. I mean, there's some guys like nipping at his heels, but James is something else. I think it's going to take. I feel like for James to actually lose a championship, it would take him just kind of like taking it easy himself, and I don't think we're ever going to see that.
Right.
Like, well, who are you thinking might be in the runnings to dethrone it?
And that's the question, right? Dawson, do you think is James Dean's championship to lose this year?
I mean, yeah, if you want to, in theory, will he? I have no idea. There's not too many crazy contenders that there wasn't last year, so. I mean, yeah, he's got a good chance at winning it again. Of course, he's one of the best drivers on the planet. So.
Right? Yeah. I mean, Kurtis asked me, is there anyone that you would think that you would bet on beating him? Also,
I would bet on.
Yeah. Do you have the stream on the background? Because I think I hear myself. Somebody does.
Yeah. Is it not?
You're good. But for me,
I mean, you have your normal contenders like Field could pull it off, and Odie could maybe pull it off in that new car.
Oh yeah. Well, for me, it's Field was always the guy I was looking at. The biggest one, my big question marks was, is Manoa coming back? You know.
It's a good point.
That's very true. Yeah.
Is he coming back?
Manoa would have a good shot.
I know.
Yeah, there's always people like Osbo and.
Oh yeah, Osbo. For the thing with Manoa is I know he did accept a thing to do the rally stuff with Toyota. So I know he is doing that, which kind of puts his FD season as a huge question mark. Which is which is unfortunate. I know that was kind of.
Do you think with all of the speed that he's picked up with FD that he'll put it on the back burner just to try rally?
His dream is to do rally. He wants to do WRC. I think that's what he's passionate about doing. So I would think so. I mean, for him, all he's ever done is win and be the top. So I don't think you have to remember, like for him, it's like he's just all he's known is just being the best, pretty much, from wherever he's come from. So I don't think he sees. It would be a big challenge to come back if he wanted to later and try and win a championship. You know, it's not like he's so young. He's got so much time in his eyes.
He's got an
right.
Yeah,
that's why I asked too. Yeah. I was like, if he would just drop it and go, because I mean I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the debate. I think he would. Absolutely. I mean, especially when it's.
I think it's Jason in the chat brought up, like, what about LZ? What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I knew someone was going to bring that up.
Yeah,
like obviously LZ is a great contender. I am curious to like, I don't know. It's almost like a old Sully situation. I feel like he takes himself out sometimes, in certain scenarios. Like I think in Utah. Where it was a chase against Dean or something like that. I can't remember who he was going against, but he went way offline, and not way offline, but he like got into the smoke and it threw him offline for the last turn, and that like kind of threw the battle pretty much. So I think he's stuck too much in that scenario, but I think he's done phenomenal getting his program together, especially seeing it at the events. He probably has one of the best programs for a driver specifically. just to operate and be successful. Just from what I've seen in the FD field.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Obviously,
he
you
has
have
one
like Vaughn and all of them, but like, dude, LZ, I know everyone loves him for his content, but like the dude's fucking meticulous. Like he is on the dot about everything he does. So I don't know. I think he is a good contender, but I don't know. I think a veteran like Osbo is probably an arguably better contender to beat Dean or someone along those lines.
Yeah. No, I would agree with the Osbo statement. Uh, you guys got to remember, Adam's only been drifting for what, like 7,
Sure.
8 years.
Yeah, it's not a crazy long
Right,
time.
dude.
He's taken the time to build a really, really good car and a really, really good program. Like his early stuff were like the weird steps that he took, and then he came out swinging in that E36, and like it's such a simple car with a good program behind it that it works every time. That's kind of why I think, he's finished how high several times now. So
Yeah, I think it
he
was
could be a contender.
Yeah.
5th or 4th. But I mean, the thing also with Adam is, as you were saying, it's the consistency, right? And that's where I feel like, just him being relatively new, not like new, but like he just doesn't have that veteran experience that an Osbo or a Dean has.
Yeah, but those guys make mistakes too. Like let's look at Osbo missing
It's-
a gear in Seattle and slamming Stuckey,
Yeah,
right?
and remember how shocked everyone was because that's
The first time I've ever seen him make a mistake like that.
exactly,
But he's not, maybe he's
exactly.
flipping.
How many
Maybe
times
he's
have you
flipping,
seen
dude.
James Dean spin?
Oof.
Exactly. So like that's what I'm kind of talking about.
I
'cause-
mean, think about it from his perspective, from Osbo's perspective right there, though. Adam threw it damn near backwards, right at a wall. And, like, the whole trunk, I mean, pretty much was in the wall almost. Not the whole trunk, but, like, from Osbo's perspective, it looks like half his car is about to smack the wall.
right.
So it would have freaked me out, too. But to see him spin is a little odd. Just, I couldn't imagine what it looked like
Right.
from behind LZ.
Right. Well, I mean, you talk about LZ. I mean, he crashed out in Long Beach too. Like it's like, and messed that car real
Yeah.
good. So it's like, but no one was really. It's kind of bad. It's like no one's really was surprised because he's crashed his car quite a few times.
Well, and he's not a veteran with championships underneath.
Mhm.
That's why it's such a big deal when like Osbo makes a mistake like that. Is because it's unlike him to do anything like that. But it also just kind of like makes you wonder if maybe it's just getting past your prime, like getting a little bit older and I don't know,
Yeah.
less care. Like what do you have left?
Is it that, or is it like maybe Osbo can't afford to wad his car? I mean, I don't know. I don't know what these guys' pocketbooks look like, but I know LZ has a lot of resource.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd
don't
imagine
forget about the pocketbook. Like, he's got a lot of resource at the compound to just rebuild the car. So, but not
I would
everyone has
imagine
that
resource.
level of a team to go into a battle with that confidence, knowing you can just, by next round, we will have a car to drive.
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
don't
think
think
a lot of
Osbo
the top
has
teams are like
that
that though.
Grace.
You know what I'm saying?
Say
Like
again?
a lot of the top teams are like that though. Like, I mean, and that's the same with
No, I know that.
an
but,
Osbo
like,
or a
to
Dean.
Adam's level, like he's got way more resource than I think a lot of it. Maybe obviously like RTR or someone like that. They've got that level of resource, right?
Right.
Yeah, well,
I
yeah,
don't.
but
Again,
Osbo-
I don't know like a lot of the
I know.
FD drivers' personal lives either, so I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole topic. Like, I mean, it's obviously different for every person, but a lot of those guys are riding drives, and like for them, that's not the issue is whether or not they're gonna have a car next event. Like, no matter what, they will. For those kinds of guys, but it is an interesting thing when you brought up LC.
But what does it
Jason.
cost on the back end though?
Well, it's not.
Especially as
it's
a
not-
ride and drive. I'd be curious to know that.
Well, it's a lot of it's when you're working with a Papadakis or an RTR. I mean, I feel like that's a lot of what you pay for up front is to have all that stuff covered and figured out. I mean, sure, if Jane wads a car up, but I'm not even sure that. I mean, they get enough sponsor dollars to where it's like that should be all covered. Like, I don't think those guys go in thinking about whether or not they can.
I'd be
write off a
curious
car.
to see like what the contract looks like. Like, do you get Like you get one out of this budget that you're paying up front.
Yeah.
You get this many bumpers for your budget, or you get this many doors for your budget, or we can fully rebuild the car 2 times in a season. Rest comes out of pocket. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah.
That's what I want to know.
I mean, I'm sure there's limits, but I mean, it's I think there's a long way to go for guys like that before that really even affects them. But I don't know.
Well,
It's a different world than say like, running with Andy and you guys have to think about that kind of stuff. You can't wad a car.
If our car gets wadded, we're just gonna fix it. Like we don't think you can't think about that when you're in a competition that's entirely likely at any given moment, whether it's your fault or not your fault, right? So like our mentality is if the car is wadded here, we have X amount of time to fix it until here, and we're just gonna have to figure that out after the fact. You don't think about it going in. You'd like to not have a wadded car, but you can't be a thought on your mind at any time.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to that point though in FD where you can't drive with that worry because like you guys do basically bumper cars all the way around the track, and that's what it is now. I mean, it's not. There's no room to drive safe, even in 32. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Dawson, I think it is you
I
that
can
I
see that.
kind of hear the stream on the back
So I was adjusting my volume. I thought it was me.
No, it's Dawson. I can hear it just slightly.
But no, I mean you just
Also, Dawson, go in and come. Just go out and come back because I think you're in like a slight delay as well. Yeah, because I could hear him talking and like his voice was not making the right, or his mouth was not making the right.
Yeah, I just saw it.
Words. I was just like, I'll let him finish and then we'll figure it out. Perks of doing live streams, dude. I don't know what it is. Like I've had so many streams where it's smooth sailing, and then some streams nothing goes right. It's just
it's just part of the game.
And this is just one of those streams where like everything decides to break at the same time. All right, you got me?
Better?
Yeah. I mean, you're still in a delay, but at least I don't hear it.
Is he still in a delay?
Yeah, just a little bit. But it's not like it's not like breaking. Like it's not like it doesn't work or anything.
Did he freeze? Because he's not moving.
Yeah, maybe he froze.
No, he's moving. We're good. We're good. He's
I'm here.
Yeah, it's just your audio is like probably half a second to a second off of what you actually when you talk.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it's like a second.
No?
It is a bit weird, but it's all good. We'll make it work. Your mouth, as long as you stick the mouth behind the microphone, they can't actually tell.
We can keep it. We can keep my mouth covered. That way you can't tell at all.
Exactly. No. Moving on to the next topic though, is oh yeah, we missed this one. So I'm gonna go with what a driver are you most excited for next year? Because this is an interesting discussion. Obviously, Kurtis, you can't say Andy, so you gotta say someone else.
When do I ever say Andy?
But
pro or prospect though?
Pro. We're going pro. Primarily talking about pro. There's a bunch of interesting storylines in prospect, but for this question, we're gonna go with pro, and it's a challenge because we have a lot of the same guys, So that's why I'm not limiting it to new guys. But there's a lot of interesting stuff out there. I mean, one of the guys that I thought was interesting for this year to see is Adam, for example, and will he make that next step, or is that kind of his peak? So that was an interesting one, like that we already talked about. But for me, we're getting a full season of Masayama again, and
yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and because
that'd be interesting. I think it kind of sucks when the Japan drivers come over to the U.S. to drive an FD. Because, not sucks. It's good to see them on track. But, seeing them at the event, you'll see them standing over just kind of casually and, just the average person walks right past them and has no idea who this person is and like what an influence they have just on drifting as a whole. So it's like it's cool to see them come here and go on track, but like when you see them at the events and they get like no recognition unless they're out on track driving, it's kind of like weird because we all know them as like this hero figure in a sense, right?
Yeah,
or like someone that is a crazy driver or whatever. But
yeah, I mean, well, like when Daigo was over
that watch
here,
FD have.
It was kind of
Daigo.
like that, you know, and I think a lot of people knew who he was, honestly. Like, I mean, honestly, I feel like it's kind of hard to miss Daigo whenever you see him with how he dresses and whatnot. But
he's pretty loud.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's true.
But I mean, I don't know. I think I like having the Japanese guys, and I think they appreciate that it's maybe not as crazy over here for them, even if that is the case, you know. Yeah. And I don't even know if that is the case necessarily, but even with like a guy like Masayama, where he came over, gosh, this had to be 5-6 years ago when he came over originally with his
S15, right?
S15. I think he drove Matt Field's S14 at some point too.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, he was okay. Like, he was lower pack most of the time. Every once in a while, he'd have a good event where he'd get like a 16 and maybe a top 8. I think he had once. But to see him just come back and be a totally different driver in Jerry Yang's car last year was, I thought, really interesting, and it makes me excited for him this year to get a full season crack at it, and to really show what he can do. Because one of the cool things, so I talked to Waturo a bit when he first came over here. I mean, it's kind of hard because, you know, obviously his English was so-so at best, but I talked to Matt Field a lot about it, and the cool part Matt said to Masayama is when he went back over to Japan that he was like a killer. Like, he was a totally changed driver after driving FD. And like, I think that's a really cool testament to hear that our influence of driving has actually helped Japanese guys back at home when they go back. And I mean, Ken Gushi will say the same thing. Like, FD has helped him tremendously.
That is kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Because like you'll see a lot of spectators kind of complain about how their driving seems different over here. So like when they come from Japan and trying FD for the first time, I see comments nonstop of like, why does he drive worse over here, or why does he drive not as good, or da da da.
So there's so many reasons.
That they bring that twist back home too.
Yeah.
Except like in the opposite direction, it helps them more. What about FD is what helps them?
Yeah, so there's a lot that you kind of just said there. The first question is, why do they drive worse over here? Well, number one, the competition, in my opinion, is better, and I don't even think it's close. Number two, they're probably driving a car that they don't drive all the time, so it's usually a rental program or something like that. Very rarely do they actually bring their own car over. Three, these tracks are different when it comes to layout versus the tracks they drive over in FD Japan. They do a lot of road course stuff over there, and they also score differently over there. Like, they have emphasis on different things, like crazy snappy initiations is like a huge thing over there, and over here it's not really. It's like initiate kind of how you want, unless there's like a bubble, and you know, you just have to follow the bubble. Right. But you don't need like crazy angle off initiation. It just has to be consistent and smooth over here, you know, and that's like, those are just some of the differences over there to over here. I think transition speed as well over there is a lot faster than it is over here, which is a lot riskier driving than I would say over here is, just doing that. But in terms of them just not doing well, and then, well, I guess why it helps them when they come back is because competition is so good here. You have to push yourself to that next level, and that's what Masayama kind of was dealing with, is he had to push himself further than he's ever had to push himself driving versus when he was over in Japan. And that's why that's the only way you get better, is when you drive with better drivers, and push yourself to drive as good as they do, that's when you get better. And that's why Masayama got so much better when he came back over. And I think he won a championship soon after when he came back. So that's kind of what I would explain how that goes. But I mean, you can tell me if I'm wrong, Kurtis, but that's just from observation.
No, I mean they just have. I mean, it's just different, right? Like you nailed it pretty much. Like it's different tracks, different driving styles, different cars, different layout, different setups. Like everything is different between the two of them. I don't know if they get better being over here or not.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't talked to him, but I remember watching like when Yokoi came over several years ago, right? Like watching that guy come over and kind of have to adapt to our circle tracks and banked corners and all that kind of stuff we have. That was really, really fun to watch happen.
Yeah.
And then also watch him do well. You know, it's like this guy's never driven anything like this. They don't have ovals in Japan. They had one that NASCAR built one time and never finished.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So I think driving in different places in general for anyone is going to make them better, though. Whether it's us going to Australia or Japan or anywhere like that, or people from there coming here, like I think it does everyone a benefit to drive with different calibers of people, different driving styles, different tracks.
100%. No, I agree, and it's a really, it was an interesting story when Matt Field told me that, and I'm glad he's coming back for another year because I want to see him get a full crack at the can.
He looked great in that car. Which round was his first round in it? Seattle? Maybe?
I want to say it was Seattle, and he got like top 8 or something.
Yeah, we watched him come out in Seattle swinging in that thing. We were like, man, they should have had him in that car the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so it'd be cool to see him get a real crack at a full year in that car.
Absolutely. You know, rookies you're kind of looking at. I mean, you got Cody Buchanan if he runs. I don't think
Cole Richards. I'm excited to see what Cole Richards is going to crack out for sure.
Cole, obviously,
a whole new car.
I think he's going to be a major contender.
Yeah, he's got an outstanding team behind him. Like, I mean, he's got some. You know, I don't know how much you guys paid attention to his team last year in Prospect, but he has some pretty big names on his team and crew guys that have been around a long time. So, I'm real excited to see how those guys fare in pro.
Do you have him plus or minus 15th overall at the end of the season?
Man, pro's tough. I would, if he's not over, he's right on the line of it.
Okay.
Like just barely squeaking out of the top 15. If he's not over.
Awesome. Interesting.
I could agree with that.
He's building a new car for this year. That's the only reason I kind of put it. Like, I'm with a smaller team. I'm afraid of new car woes.
Yeah. Another guy that I think we've mentioned before is Oselli's going to have a new car as well next year. New engine platform, all that kind of stuff. I'm excited to see.
He should have that car done.
That thing's going to be a shredder.
That's another one of those situations, though. It's like just taking yourself out. He's got to get out of his own head. And he'll be probably one of the next best drivers. Could be.
Yeah.
He could be.
Yeah,
he shows a lot of promise for sure. He's a ripper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think it'll be.
He's got the means for it all.
Yeah. And the other guy that I wanted to point out, who I always thought he was better than what the stats or what his standings ever showed, was Diego Higa.
Is he coming back this year?
According to the graphic, he is.
Which car is he going to be in?
I don't know. I would assume it's the same one, but we'll see. I thought he was extremely competitive, though. And
I think he didn't he have like several issues with that car?
He had a lot of issues with that
car.
car.
So that would be my only fear, is if it's going to be that same car again. It's going to be the same kind of like program woes that he ran into the last time we saw him, because he does drive really well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and from what I'm assuming,
dude, he's got the people behind him too. They show out in the live stream.
Yeah, they do.
The question is, does he have that team?
Oh my God,
that's the question.
That's the big question, right? Like, does he have this program behind him?
Yeah, because like for me, it's you have these issues, and it probably a lot of it was probably part of the, maybe the guys that were working with him were his buddies, and maybe not like all the way professionals, and that's kind of the challenge, right? It's like,
I mean, it's also an old race car, right? Like,
oh
if
yeah, dude.
memory serves me correct, that was one of Turk's old cars, right?
Yeah, and it's a GT86. Like,
old
they're not
car.
the easiest things to make go fast. So it's like, it's definitely has its challenges from that aspect. So, another guy that I thought I'm really curious to see if we see an improvement from him, because he was, like I said, he was a guy that I always thought was a better driver than what his placing was. And yeah, another question I had was, unless rules change, have the FD builds, the pro builds, have they peaked? Like, is it no?
No, there's still more in them.
No.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, people are still holding back a little bit here.
Yeah,
Tire
100%.
tech isn't like as what it really is as the tire technology keeps improving, you're going to keep seeing it get crazier and crazier. And now you got guys like, I don't know if you guys saw Odie's video where he was trying to weight his car already to figure out if he was going to chase the big tire or go the light car small tire route, right? So now you're starting to see guys flip the tables and build the opposite direction of how light can I make this thing and run on a small tire and still be competitive. So I still think there's a lot.
Well, I think the whole light side of things is going to help a lot this year with being on all the oval tracks and stuff. Having a lighter chassis is probably going to help way more.
It actually hurts.
I don't know, man. I think,
from what Stukey's told me,
no, I don't think so.
From what Stukey's told me, he said having the lighter chassis makes it a lot harder on the banks because you don't have the weight to throw up there.
Stukey has looked the best he has in years when he went the light car small tire route.
Oh yeah, I mean he's now, last year he was on a 275, so he's not like a super light and small tire, but.
I mean, when most of the rest of the field is on a 305.
True.
The 275 is kind of small, and the 275 for the smaller sidewall.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but yeah, I mean, at least that's what he's told me. He's told me that banks are harder with the light car. He said his car performs a lot better in like the technical tracks, which to me makes sense. You know, the lighter the car is, the more nimble it is, the easier it is going to be to reacting to things. I think of a Long Beach 2 as a perfect example of a light car track. Old New Jersey layout was a perfect light car track. Stuff like that, I feel like, is where you're going to see a lot of benefit, and a lot of that is still your wheelbase length as well is going to help.
Well, there's setup, to them and doing something different as well that plays a role. Like if you've been doing the heavy car big tire thing for forever, how are you going to set up a light car small tire is completely different. You got to figure it out.
Oh yeah.
You're not just going to know right off the bat, like, hey, I need to do this so the car does this. Like, you got to, there's learning that comes with it. And I think we're going to start seeing, at least I'm hopeful. I've, not to hide anything, I've never been a fan of the giant tires.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see more and more guys kind of come down to a smaller tire size and see if they can actually make it work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's a challenge. There's some tracks where it's like, it's so hard to get away with it. You got like in Orlando where you're literally on a freaking trees grader. It's like, I don't know if you've ever walked that track, but it is, I don't even know if that constitutes as concrete. It's literally gravel.
I mean, I've driven it, I've walked it, and it's rough for sure. It eats tires.
Yeah. So for me, that's kind of, that's the challenge, right? Can you make the tires last and whatnot? And obviously
that all comes in the wheel setup as well, though.
Yep, 100%.
Like a lot of guys, you see them complaining about tire wear, and then you ask them like, hey, what's your wheel speed? And it's 20, 30 mile an hour higher than anyone else's. And you're like, well, that's why your tires aren't staying together, dude. Like, what are you doing out there?
Right. Yeah. No, it's true. So I was kind of doing a little research and trying to get some ideas. So there was an idea that was kind of thrown out there, and it was that the talent in FD is kind of, I guess, it's somewhat evened out, and now there's a much more emphasis on strategy now than there was probably 10 years ago, where there was a lot of, power was winning battles and stuff.
I mean, I think strategy's always been a part of it. A major part of it. Yeah, I don't know about that one.
Okay.
I think within the 16, there's always been a ton of strategy.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
Wait, say again?
Who?
I don't even know who it was.
All I said was I just think that within from the 16 on, there's always been a ton of strategy. 10 years, 15 years, however far back you want to go.
Yeah. No, I saw that sentiment. I was like, no, I would consider, like, I mean, I would say there's not a huge gap between. Okay, so this is maybe a better question. Do you think the gap between the top driver and the 16th driver is smaller now than it was 10 years ago?
10 years ago, yeah. I could agree with that.
That was kind of, I guess, maybe more what I was talking about. We're like the overall driving level is compressed to where they're all good drivers and they're all competitive and there's not an easy battle. I think is kind of what more the sentiment was about. But I think from that perspective, there's, like you said, there's always been strategy, but again, it's less about, oh, I have this tire and I'm going to win because I have this tire. It's less necessarily about the power now. It's more about, like you said, car setup and wait, maybe make sure you don't kill your tires by the second run,
now,
you know?
So, yeah, that's true. That's very true.
But we did get a question.
I think,
sorry, go ahead.
Wait, say again?
I said we did get a question from Andrea real quick. Will Kyle Mohan and Kev Lawrence return? I feel so bad for them. Unfortunately, they were not on the list. It would be sick to see Kevin Lawrence back out.
I would love to see Kevin Lawrence come back again. His 14 is still one of my favorite cars that ever ran.
Yeah.
That most people don't agree with me on, but was always a big fan of it. And a super nice guy to boot, so it'd be sick to see him come back.
Yeah. I see him every once in a while at like shows and stuff. I'm like, dude, where are you at? Come back.
He services at FD every once in a while.
I know.
I want to say he was in Orlando and St. Louis this year.
Yeah. No. I miss it. Like, even the Skyline was sick. I enjoyed the Skyline too.
Yeah, man, but that pop up front S14 will always have it for me. I loved it.
Yeah. Someday, maybe. Someday.
The good old days.
Kyle, who knows what Kyle's doing? I know he was building. Somebody mentioned it in the chat, but like he was building an FDRX7. That was always his plan, was to come back in that car. But I don't know if he's decided to just keep chilling with Hot Pit or what he's up to.
Yeah, I thought he was doing like a 4-rotor or something.
Who knows? Crazy. He does love his rotaries, though.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be doing some big rotary. I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I think it would make sense to stick with the hot pit stuff for him. I mean, it just, from a cost effectiveness perspective, I just think that for him, it would make sense. I mean, sure, everyone
he
wants
was
to go
always
run
one
FT.
of the smaller teams, right? Like he was always kind of like scraping by, lower budget, making it work, making it happen. It might just be better off. Hell, he might have just looked at it and been like, "Hey, I'm going to stay regional. It's just, I still get to have my fun and go out there and do the thing, but I'm not spending the crazy amounts of money he was to travel nationally."
100%. Yeah, no, and so many guys do that now. So they find success doing that. And that was actually a topic that I wanted to bring up to you, Dawson, as like a guy that doesn't drive professionally. I don't think you've ever done a comp before. Like you drive for fun. Like, but you've kind of found your niche in the industry as well. Like you kind of show that you don't need to be a competitor. I think you think of a guy like Jimmy Oakes, who doesn't until recently. I mean, he competes now, but I mean, he got his fame off of not competing, just building cars and stuff like that. I mean, there's a bunch of guys, that just build cars and then drive for fun. Like, is this industry, like the drifting industry as a whole, kind of just grown to where we now have multiple avenues to where you could get sponsorships? Like, you don't need to compete to get sponsorships. You can go do grid lives. You can go do other events, Like, that's kind of the conversation I kind of wanted to get into. So what was kind of your thoughts on that? Because you've kind of done well for yourself.
Well, I mean, that's really any industry if you think about it that way. I mean, you can look at yourself. I mean, you don't personally drift or anything yourself, but you kind of made a career out of drifting.
Right.
So, I mean, it really all boil like the what I tell people or what the first thing I ask people is why, personally. Like, why do you want to? Is it just to make money or is it just to, you know, be a face in the industry or a name in the industry? Because more than likely, for drifting, that's not going to really work. I think drifting kind of takes care of itself in a way. So that fake aspect to it would never work. But I mean, it just all really boils down to what your niche specifically is. Like, do you want to be a mechanic, or do you want to be just an engine builder, or do you want to be the media person? Or I mean, there's so many different ways, and obviously everything's gonna boil back down to content. Like, it's hard to survive nowadays without content, just in general. If you're trying to build a business in any way.
Yeah.
But
Oh, I
as
think
far
I
as
think Kurtis is an
sponsorships,
expert
like
at building a business without content.
Yeah, you gotta remember, I started that 13 years ago now, and if I tried to do that tomorrow, I would have to be following the recipe that Dawson saying.
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah, I mean, you have a reputation now, and that's a lot of it too, and that goes a long way. And you know, I mean, you've been in this industry long enough, Kurtis. Like, is it kind of cool to see all of the different avenues now in drifting where people do make it like a thing?
I mean, it's kind of nice, you know what I mean? It's good to see it growing so exponentially, um, but some of it's like anything, right? Some good, some bad. But you're always gonna have your bad apples and stuff, and you can't control that or change it. But I don't know. Do what you want to do. If you want to go drifting, go drifting. If you want to just make super rad content, go make super rad content. Chase whatever you're into.
Yeah. No.
Drifting's the fun avenue to do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's probably the most fun thing you can do in a car, in my opinion. But I think it's what I'm kind of trying to get at is like how cool drifting where drifting has kind of started to where it was like literally just something guys did on the streets, in a like in the dark, like at 2 a.m, and then you started getting some like events here and there, and then you started with FD in the first couple of years, and nobody was making money, you know.
No.
But now you don't have to. And kind of my point is like now there are just so many different avenues that people have been able to finance drifting now.
Well, it's obtainable. You can just
exactly.
go do it, and that's super cool. Like doing events, like you know, me and Dustin took his car, and shout out Dustin for letting me drive it way more than he did at 100 drifters of this. Well, now it's called 200 drifters of December. But when we first started going to it, it was 100 drifters, and it would like struggle to get 100 drivers at it. That last one had over 400 drivers at it. That's crazy and super cool to see. So, you know, watching drifting go from back warehouse parking lots, mountain roads, and all that kind of stuff in the U.S. to what it is now, and how much it's grown, which you can't do without the content guys and everyone kind of bringing a light to it, is cool to see.
Oh yeah, and for me, it's given me an opportunity even like to just go film these incredible people and do these incredible opportunities. Like this year, I'm gonna be traveling more than I've ever traveled in my life, and it's like. And it's all because of drifting and sticking with the sport and whatnot. And for me, it was an interesting dilemma early on that I kind of just decided, even if I had better opportunities outside of drifting to make a lot more money, this is what I was passionate about, and this is what I kind of wanted to stick with. And for me, I think like we all kind of have to kind of make those decisions and at some point, but. Like it's been such a cool, even like the last 10 years that I've been involved in this sport. Like I've just seen so many different new people pop up. Like Dawson, you've done the podcast for what now, 4 years? Not even.
This will be the 4th year.
Yeah.
This year. It's been about a little over 3.
Yeah, and so now you got guys that can literally do amazing podcast work and do like your social stuff's really freaking good, like your reels and all that kind of stuff, and you're able to push yourself and actually make a living off of it too, which is the really cool aspect of where I'm kind of taking the conversation. And that I don't know if that was an opportunity even like
Well, see,
10 years
that's
ago.
one thing that I think people need to understand too, is like, just because you see a lot of what happens online doesn't mean there's a lot of monetary behind it. Like,
No.
yes, I do this for a living, and yes, I have, a bunch of Viper chairs, and like I have things that have benefits to this, but like I also don't I make probably a half of what I made at my last normal day job. So
Yeah.
like I'm not making a ton of money.
Yeah.
It doesn't like stuff doesn't pay exponentially well in motorsports. But it's
No.
a trade-off as
Yeah.
well. Like you're trading off the freedom to do the things that you love at a lower price. Like you just don't get paid as much, but you're spending a lot more time doing things that you want rather than being micromanaged by some dude that, you know, you've just despised, you don't even respect as a human being or something like that. So I don't know. I think that stuff really just boils down to you and what you're willing to give up in order to do this type of stuff.
No, I agree 100%. And it's true. Like, and you're never going to make the most money ever in motorsports, that's for sure. But
Not in
it's
this
a
one.
but it's a fun time, and it's what we're all passionate about. And I think there's a lot of cool stuff that I in the next couple years, in like the next 5 years, I'm excited to see where it even goes from now. You know, because let's be honest, I think drifting is just going to keep growing money wise, and like it become to where there's going to be a series where it's just all what's the term called,
Well,
where a
let's
bunch of
set
rich
an
guys
example. Let's
where
do this. Like what's the missing niche? So like the way that I explained
well,
the podcast is, nobody was really doing a dedicated podcast
yeah.
in drifting at the time. There wasn't one that was consistent, so I filled a hole. What is your opinion on what the next hole is going to be?
Well, for
And who do
me,
you think
it's
could fill it?
what I'm kind of talking about more is the like a gentleman's racing type thing in drifting, where you have a bunch of drift cars
Interesting. Okay.
and you have a gentleman's basically style event where you just go pay and you go drive and you get to drive this event, kind of like they have in road racing and stuff like that. Like that's kind of where I'm talking, like the one of the ways that drifting could go next would be really cool to see. And I don't know if it's how close that would be, but as an example, like that's kind of where like other motorsports have kind of reached that next pinnacle where there is that kind of money to do stuff with and whatnot. And, like if you're gonna make money in motorsports, like you need money in the motorsport to do that. So like that's
Right.
that's kind of where I'm curious the next step would be. But like in terms of a hole in the market, for me right now, it's well, I don't know if it's necessarily a hole, but I went over and did a live stream of practice for one of the days at Drift Masters and had 1,000 concurrent viewers the entire time, and it's like that is clearly a hole because no one does it over there, and I will see what goes on this year, but there could be a good chance that could be hole will be filled this year. But in terms of
Nice.
like, I don't know if I had the answers, like, that you'd make a lot of money, right? But it's like, I don't know if drifting. I would say drifting has less holes than a lot of other motorsports, just be based on the demographic. And I feel like drifting as a motorsport is very young, and people are very scrappy, and they're very in tune with the technology versus some other motorsports, say like a circle track, where they may not be as in tuned with social media and promotions and that kind of stuff. Where I think there's a much larger market over there to be a personality and get bigger on the social side. on like a motorsport like that, where maybe a lot of
No,
those
but is
guys
it the
aren't.
market that we're looking for, or is it the whole that can be the next big thing? Because, like, I would argue that drifting has way more
Okay.
holes that need to be filled because we are so young. Drifting is such a younger sport. So there's like, but it's how low are you willing to bring it down to be like, okay, this is a hole. So, like,
I mean, what do you think a
for
hole is? Like,
instance,
name a hole.
so that's what I'm saying. So, for instance, if you go on Instagram, how many times when you're scrolling do you see some podcast or some just talking head video of someone, and then you'll see a video game right above it?
I mean, every once
You
in a
know what
while.
I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Where it's just like a mindless, like it has no addition to the video that you're actually listening to, but it's there, and you watch the whole video because you wanted to listen to whatever that person was saying, not because there was some stupid video game. But there's a whole market for sim drifters, which I kind of like. I'll post a video every once in a while doing this, where I'll take a clip from my own podcast and put my sim drifting right above it, and like that's a hole. But like that's what I'm saying. Like, how low of a hole are you willing to take it? Because you could build a whole business off of doing stuff like that, or you could
Yeah.
build a whole business off of doing reactions and implement sponsorships into that, and like I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know. There's
true.
plenty other holes to be filled. Not everything just gets wrapped around driving. I would
No.
love to see 10
Yeah.
times more people make a job out of just promoting other people within the industry rather than trying to be the next face or the next name. I think that's a little bit more beneficial to the sport entirely and brings a little bit more respect to those people too.
Would you talk
But
about? Would it be more
yeah, I
like
mean,
like because you want to promote the good voices in the sport, or the voices that bring the good, I guess the good message, to for lack of a better word. um is that kind of what you're kind of getting at?
well, yeah, I mean, I think your message should always be inherently good. I don't think you should be doing anything with bad intention or
Well,
like
it's not
hurtful
necessarily bad
intention towards
intentions, but you
anyone
can
or
have
anything.
incorrect advice, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. And there's always going to be times you run into that, but like you can either not worry about it or try and make it right. Make sure you check and, do your part to make sure you're in the right.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of, I feel like drifting when, I mean, you can tell me if I'm right on this, Curtis, but I feel like drifting, 10, 15 years ago, there was a lot of information out there that wasn't necessarily correct on a lot of this stuff, because people were just trying to learn, and like a lot of it was new, and I mean, a lot of that's kind of been
Yeah.
kind of tested out now. But like, what would you say?
I would argue that there's probably more misinformation nowadays just
Hmm.
because of like a technology standard than there was back then.
Yeah.
Like way back in the day, you had forums, and generally there was only a handful of people on them to begin with, and most of the guys that were there, while we may have been learning, we were just everyone was sharing what they were learning together at the same time. So there wasn't like good, bad, or any of that. It was just like, hey, this is what we did, and this is how it worked out for us. Versus think about something as simple as, nowadays somebody posts on Facebook, my car won't start. And how many guys that aren't mechanics are commenting on that thing like, oh, did you check your battery? Or did you check this? Did you check that? And they don't actually know anything. They're just regurgitating something that they heard or saw somewhere else. And I think
Interesting.
the same can be said for like drifting.
Actually, here I got an example for you. Since you're wearing a mid-pond shirt, what about
Yeah.
the first car ever to go into the pond?
Do you know what happened?
So I commented on that post. That's what I'm saying. I commented on that post and was like, okay, I actually want to know what happened though. And I got a DM from my buddy Will, and he told me everything that happened. But now I didn't go back to the post, but you see a comment after comment after comment after comment replying to me and everybody else. That's like, oh, dude must have been blasting through turn whatever and like making up all these scenarios. Like I'm pretty sure one dude was like heavily confident in the fact that he just overcooked it, or he gave the keys to someone else and they overcooked it or whatever. And it's like people just they want attention. They
Yeah,
just
they're back and forth,
attention in the
and
world.
what really happened was the car rolled from the parking lot, and that's it.
Exactly.
There's an e-brake that wasn't set, and it rolled from the parking lot and into the pond, right? And so it's the same thing with information pertaining to drifting in general, whether it's fixing the car, how to drive. You know how many times I'm not going to say names or where I was at driving, but I got out of a car where I'm trying to figure out the car and the track, and someone I know for a fact does not drift was trying to tell me how to drive a drift car, right? And it's like, dude, you don't stop. Why are you trying to give input? You don't know anything to give the input. And you see that a lot. You see that way more now than you did 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I'm kind of guilty of that sometimes, though.
People want to fit in.
I mean, granted, drivers will ask me opinions because I used to film all the runs and watch all the runs. So,
but you're not giving unsolicited advice. They ask you it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which means you're respected. So, like, that's good.
Yeah. But it's. Yeah.
But even then, it's like you probably have more perspective than just some average Joe Schmo that watches FD online. Like you're visibly. I don't know if any of the people watching right now do media, but they could probably attest, if they do, how many hours you spend behind a screen studying one clip, especially as a videographer, not just a photographer. So you probably have more input to that run than you actually think yourself. And there's probably a reason they're asking you specifically why. Or
what they're asking you too, like, because like if you're not speaking from a driving standpoint, then you're not really talking outside your range. If you're just talking like what the judges want to see or where they were on track and stuff like that, right? Like it's all situational based. But I just think nowadays you see a lot more people chiming in with information they shouldn't be. I read posts all the time that I don't have an answer for, so I just don't comment.
That's true. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, I don't know. Why would I say anything?
100%. We got some stuff in the chat from Phil. Phil said, next step would be judging being less subjective. I think it's hard for someone to buy a seat to a series when they can lose and not understand why versus, say, GT3 or NASCAR where the fastest guy wins. And they're going to try that this year with some machine judging. So hopefully, I mean, there's obviously with machine judging, there's theoretically no subjectiveness to that. One could argue, okay, maybe it benefits a chassis more than another with how maybe it judges things, but that's getting really into the weeds. So there's only so much you can do. But I mean, that's your first step right there is doing some machine judging to try and get some of the subjectiveness out. And I don't know if you're ever going to get it all the way out with tandem battles.
How do you though? See, that's the stipulation that everyone runs into is they try and treat it as a NASCAR sport or as a like definitive, this objective meets this goal and you have this final outcome no matter what. And drifting just absolutely never is that. There's too many variables to cars and there's too many variables to tires and tracks and, pavement and like just the simple fact that it's a judged sport. You can't, there still has to be that objectiveness to a judged sport in some capacity. So I don't know. I'm very like on the edge or on the fence of how this whole, like using technology to help with judging and stuff will come to fruition in the future.
Yeah.
But
I don't know where Kurtis went, but I was going to say Kurtis literally is done qualifying on I mean, you've literally done machine judging 100% on qualifying. And so
wait, were you talking to me?
Yeah, I was talking to you.
I bounced out and came back for a second. So
I know you did. No, I was literally going to bring you up and saying that you literally have experience of 100% machine judged qualifying, which is different than obviously tandems, but
I think machine judging for qualifying is the best way to go, which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
But imagine how boring drifting could become if it was all machine judged, even in let's say tandem, right? It's 100% machine judged, and drivers just learn how to manipulate that system to check the boxes and win every time. I fear it would become pretty boring without the subjective side of it.
Robotic, yeah.
Like, you just knew what you had to do.
You'd lose it
no
entirely.
matter what, and they're like, okay, cool, you just do that every time. You just see the same thing every time, over and over and over. It'd be boring.
No, I agree. And I mean, you play like a video game. I think like Car X had judging where like you could like tandem against the computer, and it was like all obviously machine judged on if you won the battle or whatever. But it was like it was very. I thought it was a very weird feeling. It was just very weird. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it. I didn't do it a whole lot, but it was just. I saw that there was an option to do tandem battles, and it's all computer based, and it was like.
There's just always ways to manipulate a computer, right? Like go back to Forza 4 when they had like the drifting trials and everything, right? And you drift to get points, and you could manipulate that to get more points. When you go back and watch the replay, you're like, that is the worst run of drifting I've ever seen in my life. It doesn't even make sense.
Yep.
But you have this crazy huge score because all you did was you learned to manipulate a point system.
Yeah, that's true. So we'll see. We are hitting that 2-hour mark though, and kind of wrapping things up here. I do want to thank you, everyone in the chat, for the questions that you guys had. I do want to say a huge thank you to Kurtis and Dawson with dealing with me with these stupid technical issues. One of these days, I'm gonna figure this out.
Brother, you didn't even know. I've had so many. You're good.
Yeah, it's just
Dawson just cheats because he doesn't do it live.
It just sucks because it's on a live stream and everyone gets to see it, and like. Half of it is like I have no freaking clue. So it's just one of those things where I do want to apologize. One of these days I will get whatever solution I have to get this bulletproof, because I've seen other streamers do it somehow, so they can do it. But I want to say a huge thank you guys for coming on. I know it's hard doing this weekly thing, so Kurtis for sticking it out and being able to come out. That's always awesome. One of these days we'll get you some actual lighting.
It's coming soon, I swear, guys. I swear. I'll have it all fit and finished soon.
Yeah. Dawson, huge thanks for coming on. Oh yeah. I would be a bad interview if I didn't ask this. If you guys want a full statement on this, by the way, go check out his video. But you did have a recent interview that you did have to take down. Do you have any? Can you say anything on it, or what was kind of going on there?
Obviously, like I mentioned in the podcast I just put out, I can't speak too heavily on the situation. Unfortunate opinions of unfortunate circumstances, whatever. I, with my content, never want to offend people. I know it's going to happen, but that's never what I'm here to spread good things and good things only. So I just felt inherently that it was the best decision to pull the episode. It was out for a few days, and I think it hit everyone that absolutely needed to see it. And yeah, so maybe one day it'll come back. I don't really know. I would love for it to, but I want to keep the peace as much as possible.
Yeah, and sometimes let's be honest, it's not like it's a light subject. Like it's a pretty tough one
Right.
for a lot of people in a lot of different scenarios. So it's like it's almost, I would argue it's almost impossible for everyone to be happy with it, because like no matter what, someone's upset about something.
And how much can I fight to tell someone else's story as well? So there's a whole ordeal that goes on behind everything else, and the internet only gets 5% of the entire situation. So there's more to it. People don't know, and nor do they need to know.
Exactly. No, I agree. And like I said, I want to say a huge thank you for actually doing that show, though, because I did get a chance to watch it, and it was one of the best interviews I think I've seen in drifting. So we'll hopefully.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, hopefully we see some more. Shout out to Greg and all the guys there, and hope things are gonna go well for them in their futures and whatnot. But again, huge thank you for coming on. Go check out Dawson's Circle of Drift podcast. It's probably, would you say it's it's got to be number one drift podcast in the world, right?
That's what I used to say. To me it is. I'll
Right.
say it. So
There you
yeah.
go. There you go, boss. And the fact that you do in-person stuff is pretty cool. So that's something I am jealous of. Yeah, and then Kurtis, go check out. Got anything new, Kurtis, or you just being
Same
grumpy
thing as
old
always,
self?
man.
Yeah.
Curtis K1 built, and then spring break drift party over there on Instagram. Check it out.
Go do it. Awesome, guys. And thank you again for checking out the
All I
channel.
want to say is whatever dreams and stuff you got going on, whatever you think you can do, whatever you've been wanting to do, just fucking do it. No matter what it is, just start it. Your dreams aren't going to wait for you. So
This is
that's
true.
all.
This is true.
That's a good one.
This is true. Awesome. Well, thank you for that. Thank you guys for checking out the stream. And if you want to like and share, that's always appreciated. As Phil said in the chat, see y'all Thursday. I will see you guys Thursday.